A recent sale of shares previously owned by the Uganda Dairy Corporation by Samia Agriculture and Livestock Limited to another Kenyan farm, Brookside Dairy Limited, has raised eyebrows about the conduct of government officials. Brookside is the largest dairy farm in Kenya and is part of the blue chip stable owned by the family of Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. Samia purchased Uganda Dairy Corporation in 2007. However, the privatization of Uganda Dairy Corporation, which right from the start was cloaked in secrecy, has been beset by wheeling and dealing. In 2004, the Monitor publication carried an article claiming Dairy Corporation had been sold for $1 in an opaque privatization process to front the interests of the political elite. However, a parliamentary committee was set up to investigate the sale and concluded that a proper bidding process had not been followed and that the Thai group was a phantom company. In 2007, a Kenyan firm, Samia Agriculture and Livestock Limited, purchased Dairy Corporation for $500,000. This came after a Thai company pulled out of the purchase of the company, which was making losses at that time. It is difficult to say whether the price was too low since the assets had deteriorated significantly by the time of the sale. The deal Samia sealed with government gave the firm a controlling stake for 10 years to run the dairy industry. However, during this period, Samia was supposed to build a power plant, renovate and upgrade the existing fresh dairy plant, maintain the assets leased by the Dairy Development Association, and improve the collection and distribution networks of milk.
We obligated them to make sure that they improve the asset base and hence the powder plant. So those assets are the ones that belong to government.
In the agreement, the firm was supposed to invest $9.3 million, which by that time was equivalent to 17.3 billion shillings. It was also mandated to pay $4,000 to the Dairy Development Association for the assets leased to it per month. Samia started production, but they maintained the Fresh Dairy brand. In 2014, Samia wrote to government claiming it had invested 47.4 billion shillings, a figure much more than what it had initially intended to spend at an estimation of 17.3 billion shillings. But barely 2 years before its contract would expire, Samia requested for a 50-year extension so as to recover its expenditure.
The initial understanding was that Samia would operate Dairy Corporation for 10 years. But it's also a fact that they invested heavily and requested the government to vary that period to a longer period.
Highly placed sources reveal the team met senior officials at the Finance Ministry to ask for an extension. The officials consulted the president and convinced him to extend the contract by 40 years. Sources reveal that Samia promised to invest about $7 million in the business during the 40 years. But barely after inking this deal, Samia put all the 16,739 shares for sale. Each share cost 200,000 shillings. On March 25, 2015, Samia sold all its shares to Brookside Dairy Limited, a firm which is part of President Uhuru Kenyatta family business empire.
I can confirm that the assets of government of Uganda have remained, but the shares, to the best of my knowledge, the shares of the operators of the business of dairy corporations are the ones, hence Samia, are the ones which have been transferred to Brookside.
Brookside paid Samia 3.34 billion shillings for the shares. Upon selling their shares, Samia wound up business in the country. Whereas Brookside has no blemish for purchasing the shares, many questions remain abound. Why did finance officials give a green light to an extension and yet they could have opened fresh bids after the expiry of the Samia contract in 2017? Solomon Kawesa, NTV.